All right. Yeah, so I'm just going to talk something a little bit about my passion, and the areas I'm passionate about is obviously entrepreneurship. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But for those that don't know me, my name is Tobi Nagy, and this morning or this evening, this afternoon, I'm going to talk about turning ideas into business opportunities. So just quickly a bit about myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been a serial entrepreneur for 30 years. I've also been a business mentor for over 18 years. And what I essentially do is help educate entrepreneurs. And I've been doing that for over a decade. I'm a former university lecturer in entrepreneurship. I'm also a course developer, author, and writer. But the main thing is I'm passionate about entrepreneurship, education, innovation, and sustainability. They're my four what you call pillars. All right, so I'm also founder of the Global Entrepreneur Academy, and we run this thing called Startup Fundamentals Program. And as of last year, it has been a certified program. So it's certified for 30 CPD points. And our focus is going more in towards the corporate market. So what I help do with this program is to help people launch their next big idea. The problem with most entrepreneurs is they're stuck here, right? We call this a struggle zone, and well over 70% of entrepreneurs are here. So my role is to help people transition from a startup to essentially a lifestyle business in the shortest amount of time. But to begin with, I just want to ask you, have you ever had an idea for a business but simply didn't know what to do? Many of us have been in this situation. And here's a quote by Chad Widdowson from Growth Hacking. And he said, success in entrepreneurship is a process, not a destination. So remember that. So let's begin by examining ideas and opportunities. So when assessing business opportunities, entrepreneurs always tend to make the same fundamental mistake. Sure, opportunities driven by ideas, but many of us think that because it's a good idea, it can be turned into a business opportunity. However, not all ideas can be developed into business opportunities. So I guess the thing is, for me, is I say the idea is not important. But why is the idea not important? Well, firstly, ideas are a dime a dozen. And very good ideas are hard to find. And here's a quote from Kerry Packer, the late Kerry Packer, who was formerly Australia's richest man. And he said, the opportunity of a lifetime comes knocking every day. The problem is entrepreneurs often get attached to their idea. They're driven by their own cognitive biases, when essentially the idea only accounts for 28% of a startup success. And there's a TED talk on this by Bill Gross, and he talks about the single biggest reason why startups succeed. And believe it or not, it's not the idea. So I train people to fall in love with the customer problem, not the solution. There's too many people that fall in love with the technology, the idea, or the solution. Really, it's all about assessing the idea and testing it through a process and then executing it successfully to build into a business. Now that sounds simple, right? But what is important is execution. And successful execution always requires a team. It's almost impossible to be successful in business without building a team. Otherwise, it can end up just being another job. And we call this self-employment. And you end up being what we call the lone wolf entrepreneur. And without execution, it's nothing more than just an idea. Now, coming back to this video by Bill Gross, the single reason why startups succeed is timing. So what is an opportunity then? Well, here's a quote by Timmons, and he says, an opportunity has the qualities of being attractive, durable, and timely, and is anchored in a product or service which creates or adds value for its buyer or end user. Pretty broad in general, but makes sense. So how do opportunities arise? Well, firstly, through change and what we call resource and info asymmetries. In terms of change, we're seeing this all the time: new regulations, new policies, economic conditions, demographics, social trends, new technology, environmental threats, pandemics, etc. In terms of resource and info asymmetries, these are things you have that others don't have. Things like intellectual property advantages, specialized knowledge, expertise, strategic assets, or access to new or underserved markets. And now is the best time in recent history to start an enterprise. Question is why? Well, here's a quote by Thierry Valeri. He said, opportunities spawn when there are changing circumstances, chaos, disruption, confusion, inconsistencies, lags or leads, knowledge and information gaps, and a variety of other vacuums in an industry or market. Sound familiar? So when there's an idea and opportunity, there are 7 parameters that every single idea must have before it can be a business opportunity. So I'll run through those quickly. Firstly, it must add significant value to a consumer. It must solve a significant problem, answer, need, want, or potential desire. And the larger the problem, the more money you're going to make. The more complex the problem, the more money you can make. You must have a great market. It must be a good fit with the founder and team. There's no point in doing something that you don't want to be doing, just chasing money. So that's a really, really important element. The window of opportunity is opening. Market entry is feasible, and there is a competitive advantage achievable. There are also 4 anchors, according to Timmins. Firstly, it must create significant value. It must solve a major point of pain or significant want or need, which someone is willing to pay. That's an important thing as well. If you don't have a market that's willing to pay, then you don't have a business opportunity. And of course, you need to be able to make money out of it. And it must be a good fit for the founder and management team. And it must be able to justify your risk and rewards. So what to look for with ideas and opportunities? Usually the best ideas come from experience. These are simply unmet needs, such as product defects, complaints, alternate uses, service problems, quality, availability, ways of doing it. Can we do it better, quicker, cheaper, faster? Also, alternate markets, so products from overseas, different uses, different customers. And also underserved niches. We always forget about this one. It's a good one. So important point number 1, big problems create big opportunities. And like I was saying earlier, solve a complex problem and you make more money. Important point number 2, there are no permanently excellent industries. There are no permanently excellent companies. Think of these companies that have gone bust. In today's environment, companies are disappearing every day. And these are the major international companies that have disappeared, and there's plenty more to choose from. In fact, Silicon Valley Bank just went bust as well. And that was the 12th largest bank in America. So where can you look for opportunities? Well, examine industry growth rates. Attractive markets include large and growing. You can capture market share without threatening competitors. Growing, but as existing firms cannot meet needs. And if you can dominate or take the biggest share of the market, these are all attractive markets. Unattractive markets are simply old, stable, contracting automobile industry, except for things like flying cars or EVs, and trend-based businesses with sudden influx of competitors scrambling for niches. Examples of this are like lipsticks and perfumes. In terms of cost structure, attractive markets, low-cost providers, low cost of learning, economies of scale are not important. Unattractive markets are declining cost conditions, increasing cost of inputs or resources, high cost of learning, low profit margins. But you must look to the future and examine industry trends. And here is a quote by Alan Kay. He says, "It's easier to invent the future than to predict it." And trends include living longer, living healthier, sustainability lifestyle, experience over materialism, people moving away from employment to self-employment, multiple income sources, AI, VR, metaverse, self-education, all those things are really good trends. And examine areas of disruption. Now, there's not a single industry that's not being disrupted at the moment or will be disrupted. Things like finance, education, energy, health, lifestyle, transport, work and employment. Look at these industries. And there's also a thing called the megatrends. It's by Australia's CSIRO. You can have a look at that. And there are 7 megatrends that have been identified. First one is more from less, going, gone, silk highway, forever young, virtually here, and great expectations, and an imperative to innovate. Now, to be a successfully commercial opportunity, idea must pass the most basic criteria of, is it needed by the market? Will it work? Can I make a profit? What is its uniqueness? And what is the alignment with other products? And most importantly, how is it to be commercialized? And there are certain obstacles to success that cannot be overcome. Things like the market's too small, overpowering competition. So for instance, can you take on Shell or Microsoft? Barriers to entry are too high. Example, a new airline is not profitable. So obviously the cost exceeds what customers are willing to pay. And there are certain mandatory factors you cannot meet. Example, accessing a terminal gate for an airline. Think Sydney Airport or think Melbourne Airport. You just cannot get a terminal gate if you are a new airline. And you must be market focused. The market doesn't care about your idea, product, or technology. It cares about solving people's problems. And here's a quote by Joe Pine. He said, customers don't want a choice. They want what they want. So look around you, ask yourself, what industries have you worked in? What are you passionate about? What are you good at that can make a difference? What does the world need? What customers' complaints did you hear? Where is the most the cost in product or service? And can you reduce it? What niche markets are being underserved? And how could you add value to a customer experience? And how could you delight a customer? That is, exceed their expectations. So here's a quick summary. So you must solve a problem or need, and the more complex it is, the more money you'll make. And how you make money from it. So you must have a business model. You must have a market, so you need to identify a paying customer. You must have the resources to execute. And you must also have the capabilities to turn the idea into reality. So can you execute it? And if not, who can I bring on board that can help me execute the idea? So question is, how does your idea stack up? And do you think you're crazy enough to invent the future?